The following is a Simpronto media production.
Leaders, real life leaders.
Hey guys, this episode is from the Grow and Scale Now Summit, where top entrepreneurs and leaders are going to help you take your business to the next level. To get your free ticket, go to growandscalenow.com. Now to the episode.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to Carl Gould today. And he is amazing. He does tons of coaching and he is here talking to us. Our title today is How to Make the Transition from Growing to Scaling. And there is a difference. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about that. But before we do, Carl, introduce yourself to people who don't know you already. Tell them a little bit about your business and what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Chantel. Thanks for having me on. So, hey, everybody. My name is Carl Gould. I'm from New Jersey. And I started my career studying accounting and finance at the University of Delaware. I had to leave school because of a leg injury and got into landscaping, of all things. That was my first entrepreneurial venture when I was 18 years old. Grew that business over the next 7 years, sold it, started a construction company and real estate development firm. Had that business for 12 years and sold that business, but started my coaching career back in 1990. I went to a couple of personal development seminars, just loved the concept. Dove right into it, and all through the 90s, that was my side hustle. You know, I was a coach all through the 90s for Ken Blanchard's situational leadership and Franklin Covey systems and Tony Robbins and NLP and DISC and you name it, and I was certified in it. And then I started the business that I have today, 7 Stage Advisors, in 2002. And so I've been doing that ever since. So I went from living my life in a 60-mile radius of my home to, now having worked with companies in 68 countries, and currently in about a dozen countries.
Wow. Well, if you guys haven't had a chance to listen to Carl speak, he's absolutely amazing. I flew him down and we did a leadership kind of seminar that everyone absolutely loved. And so he's really a phenomenal speaker. So if you're ever looking for a speaker, I really highly suggest him. But let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what is the difference between growing and scaling?
Right, because they get used interchangeably.
Yes.
And people say, oh, I'm going to grow, I'm going to scale. No, you're not we're doing one or the other. Growing is just doing more of what you're already doing, right? And so certain businesses are more adept at growth than scaling. You have a real estate business where you have a real estate agency. That's more of a growth model, because it's hard to scale Michael Jordan. You get a great agent, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just duplicate you across, but unfortunately we can't do that yet. Maybe there's someday, but and then there's certain businesses that are more designed for scale, and growing implies that you're just doing more of what you're already doing. Scaling implies that there's a sense of streamlining, automation, and it's process driven. And not that it's not personality driven, but it's less personality driven and more metrics driven. Whereas a growing company will rely more on personality, creative problem solving, culture. It'll have those aspects will need to be more in place prominently.
Yeah, and I would say that for me, if I wanted to scale my real estate business, and what I would do in that case is that I would franchise it and then have all of the systems that I do now, and then I'd franchise it, and then I would be scaling. If I just want to grow my real estate business, I'm now adding another office, another location. Now I'm growing. As soon as I move into the franchise field, now I'm in the scaling side of things. Would you agree?
That's a great example, because when as soon as you franchise, it's now based on the guiding principles, but also the systems that everybody has to follow. So it's about the system. And if you can imagine somebody sitting behind the seat of a car, we've all decided to drive the same car, and our job is to drive the car. Whereas in the agency model, we are relying on people, some people's more creative management skills, project management, deal creating skills. And there's more flexibility there. There's not one that's better than the other, but they just are different. And you have to recognize that they're different and treat them differently.
Hey guys, I want to take a minute real quick to tell you about this retreat that I'm putting together. It's going to be just 10 lucky people that I'm going to select, and we are going to stay in a 5-star resort in Miami, and it's going to be pamper time. But the most important thing, I'm going to open up my books. I'm going to show you everything. You're going to leave there with my Word docs. You're going to leave with a USB drive with all the information that I've possibly done, every system in place. A lot of times you go to these conferences, you get all jazzed up, but you don't walk away with anything. You're going to walk away with this retreat with tons of systems. Go to chantelray.com/retreat to learn more.
Calling all entrepreneurs, leaders, and business owners. Are you looking to grow and scale your business to help more people, increase your profits, and build the business of your dreams? Then you need to attend the Grow and Scale Now Summit, a free virtual event where you can learn from top leaders and thinkers who have grown and scaled their businesses by the millions. Unlock your potential and discover the secrets to take your business to the next level. Click the link in the show notes to claim your free ticket.
Yeah. So give us another analogy. So I just gave that one with the real estate. Give a couple of analogies so people can really understand this concept of the difference between growing and scaling.
Yeah, so here's a good example. So let's take MindBody online booking software. So going back to the beginning, you had a husband and wife team that owned a yoga studio. They were struggling to find a system to book their classes. They were growing, but they still manually took the call. They had you could email in, there were some systems, but then they automated it and they created this booking software for their yoga studio and they called it MindBody Online. And so they were able to, they grew their business, but they scaled their booking, right? And so what happened was they were now, through an automated system, able to book people into their classes. What started to happen was they grew their yoga business, but they sold it. But they were able to scale their software business because as a platform, they went out to yoga studios first, but now really any class-based, occupancy-based company, they can now service through their software. So they were able to scale their technology because it was based on a similar platform. They can modify it, they can skin it differently, but that's a business that was scalable. Now, we most associate scalable businesses with technology and specifically software, but that doesn't have to be the case. An airline, if you were to fly American Airlines, depending on where you're flying, you're not always flying American. I mean, it says American on the plane.
Yes.
But if you're regional jets, that's a different company. That's an express regional company that's been licensed by American, using their booking systems, using all of their various technologies and platforms. But that's how American scales. There's the American system that other companies can book on, that can work through in order to deliver the services.
Yeah. And I guess I didn't realize that till a couple of years ago, because I remember flying and I was thinking to myself, I started really diving in and I was asking, because it was like operated by, right? It has American Airlines, but then if you look, it says operated by.
Right.
And then one day I just started asking, this is probably several years ago, I started asking the stewardess all these questions about that, so how does it work? Who pays your health insurance when you want time off? And I just started asking all these different questions. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
How that works.
Right. And they have to meet certain standards, but they might not work for the company.
Right.
And then all the vendors and all the supply chain have to do the same.
So what are the leadership requirements that you need when you want to go from growing to scaling?
Right. So this is interesting because, I wrote a book called The 7 Stages of Business Success. And the first 3 stages are your growth stages. And then you scale once you hit 4 and beyond. But we call it the miracle 1%, meaning it's a miracle that you go from growing to scaling, because it's not just semantics. It is a cultural shift, but more importantly, it's a leadership shift. So when you are a growing company, you are very relationship based. That's important, but it requires you to be influential, and everybody has to be bought into the mission, vision, values, and purpose of the founder. This is still the founder's game in the early growth stages. And we have to attach ourselves to that. And we have to believe in and have the back of the founder. But when you start to scale, the company takes on a slightly different personality. It takes on a personality of its own, right? So in order for it to scale beyond the founder, it has to have guiding principles, systems. It has to have its why, whatever its cause-based is. It has to have enterprise level operations. So one of the easiest ways I explain it is companies go from me to we to us. And when you launch your business, it's me, right? Meaning me and a few of my employees, we're just running around doing everything. Then it's we. We're a team. We've got some things that our mission, vision, values, purpose kind of is our glue. It brings us together, but we're still doing whatever it takes to get the job done. And we are mostly effective. We're not necessarily efficient, but we do get the job done. To scale, it's got to be about us. It's no longer about what the founder wants. It's what the marketplace has told us we are. We've proven our concept. We've pivoted. Intel started out as a memory company. They're a chip company now. The marketplace told them you're a chip company. You're not a memory company. And so they had to adjust away from what the founders initially designed for the business, and they scaled around that, right? So once you become a scalable company, you let the numbers and the metrics lead.
Hope you enjoyed this episode from the Grow and Scale Now Summit. Again, you can get your free ticket now at growandscalenow.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Life Leadership. If you'd like to get the show notes or access more resources, log on to reallifeleaders.com/podcast to get the show notes from this episode and any other resources we might have mentioned. And also, we'd love to hear from you. Be sure to review or rate this podcast on Apple Podcasts to help spread the word. And if you have any leadership questions you want answered, email podcast@reallifeleaders.com.